What is up, everyone? Welcome to the second episode of Academic Redshirt Podcast, recording live on Monday night, Labor Day night. Hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend watching college football. If you were at the lake, you were at a game, whatever you're doing, hope you had a great weekend. And we're going to be here breaking down week one of the college football season, also looking ahead to week two next weekend. I'm Luke. Down below, we got my man who this past weekend was on this side of the U.S. Canada border. Gabs, how was your trip down here?
It was definitely a good time, a good weekend overall for everything except betting on sports. Um, we had a tough go that way. We thought Florida State might come through for us, and then the coach froze their own kicker, and that's all she wrote. But overall, it was a successful weekend for sure. Had a great time both in Fayetteville and Dallas.
Florida State may have also started the wrong quarterback, which I didn't realize till the fourth quarter
Yeah,
too, which we'll get
we're
into
going to talk
later.
about that later.
We'll get into it. Before we do that, I also got to introduce Aiden. Aiden, what is up?
Ladies and gentlemen, happy to be here again. Big week one win for the Pigs. We'll go into that in a second, but we're looking forward to Texas. We have been since about 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and we're ready to roll. See you on Dixon.
So please address, I know your screen is frozen right now, but please address to people who may be watching on YouTube, why in the world you're wearing a Baker Mayfield Oklahoma jersey right now?
Well, if you have the mental makeup and the chemical imbalances that I have in my brain, some fucked up logic will take you to the city of Fayetteville, Arkansas owns Baker Mayfield based on his lengthy arrest record and absolute demolishing on the hand of Fayetteville PD. And therefore, because Baker Mayfield owns Texas, and this is a Horns Down podcast, we also own the University of Texas. So I got to celebrate my boy Baker, who is celebrating the firm fist of authority of Fayetteville, Arkansas, that the University of Texas will be meeting in a mere 5 days.
Did he get numbers actually work out? That checks out.
Yeah. Did he get like pummeled by police outside like the Walton Arts Center?
Yeah,
on Dixon, like in between Grubbs and the Walton Arts Center.
Yeah, he got trucks
absolutely bodied
on like the side of like brick steps or something like that.
Right. I just remember like that night in the group me, because I lived in a fraternity house, like basically right behind Dixon, and people were like, Baker Mayfield is here. We've seen him on Dixon, yada yada yada. And then the next morning, his mugshot flying around like every group me and all over Twitter was something else.
Awesome content.
Oh yeah. With that being said, speaking of Dixon Street was a great time this past Saturday night because what do you know? The Hogs won. They covered. They were 1-0. Now the thing is, it took them a quarter and a half to cover, except they didn't start covering or didn't start playing like they should until about midway through the third quarter because it was really, really dicey in the middle of the third quarter. Arkansas beats the Rice Owls 38-17 in a Southwest Conference showdown. It looked, I mean, the Hogs pulled it out. We covered 19 in the hook by the end of the game, but it very rough 2.5 quarters to start the game until our boys pulled it out. Thoughts? Let's just jump into it. Thoughts on the game? What do we think? What do we think about the offense, defense, KJ, the 2 targeting calls? I mean, let's get into it. What do we think, boys?
Defense was stellar on that end, and I think on offense, it's there seems to be like still timing issues with our QB and receivers. That should pick up. I mean, I'm not too worried about it. I definitely prefer if we kind of like get a head start on games and not the other way around. I don't really like having to like need our defense to be huge early on in the first like in the first half. I know last year a lot of times we'd be kind of slow early on offensively, and our defense would keep us in the game, and eventually we just kind of take over. But I would like to see our offense generate a little more on their own and not like off turnovers or off 4-down stops and things like that.
I will say about the offense, like I know like yes, there were timing issues, and I know in like Kendall Briles' offense, we do run like a very fast pace, like hurry up tempo offense. The problem with that, and that's great when we're running it well, like we were late in the game, like throughout the fourth quarter. The problem is earlier in the game, if we run like that much up tempo of an offense, this is like my one criticism of it is that if you go 3 and out, you're running 3 plays like bam, 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 then you're
Yeah,
off the field and your offense gets no rhythm to the point where your defense is obviously on the field for a long time and they're gonna get gassed way earlier than they should. Like I was
yeah,
watching the game and when it was like even when we had tied at 17-17 and Rice had the ball before the first Jalen Catalon interception, like in my head I was thinking like this is not going to be good because our defense is
oh yeah,
gassed. Like our offense is finally catching up to the game, but because they were going 3 and out every possession in the first half and getting no feel whatsoever moving the ball or doing anything, our defense is just like I said, just like they're just gassed. And thankfully with Jalen Catalon's 2 picks, I mean that really saved us there at the end of the game. But that's kind of the one criticism I had on offense. And then I mean, KJ had some early on had some bad decisions too, like the
yeah,
fake sidelines, should have thrown it away. I mean, that's just first start or not first start, but just first game. You just attribute that the first game rust, hopefully.
yeah. No, I
Um,
think that's pretty accurate.
yeah. Aiden?
I think. I mean, if I was going to sit here and be a simpleton like a lot of people that I've seen on the internet in the last 48 hours talking about how the Hogs looked, we looked bad in the first half. Of course we did. But you know what? I look around the SEC West. I look around the SEC as a whole. Name me one school that's not the University of Alabama that looked good in the first half.
Not
Who?
LSU.
Nobody.
Well,
There's not one
we'll get to
school.
LSU later.
There's not one school that looked good in the first half.
Well,
So I
Ole
mean,
Miss right now looks pretty darn good.
whatever. Louisville's worse than Rice. So
Yeah,
when we kind of go back to that, and yeah, we were dog shit in the first half. So was everybody. I mean, obviously, Ole Miss is taking care of business against Louisville, who's worse than Rice, but that's fine. Um, what I'm my biggest takeaway from that game, besides the defense being stellar, because they were good. I mean, that they should have been down 20 points in the first half. We weren't. Um, I look at 31 unanswered in 20 minutes. And I
yeah,
see 31 unanswered in 20 minutes. And it's obviously we had the 2 big interceptions from Catalan. But when we take a look at that, it's like, this is a team that has, when we're at our best, we can absolutely be explosive. And I think that's what it's going to take that to beat Texas. It's going to take the last 20 minutes of the game out of the Hogs this week to make that a fourth quarter game next week. And obviously Texas took care of business against Lafayette. Were they good? No, they weren't world beaters. First game with a new quarterback, you expect some growing pains, kind of like we saw with A&M against the Golden Flashes of Kent State. Great name, great helmets.
maybe Mac.
Um, but I'm not. When I'm looking at the game last week, I'm not seeing any obvious red flags that Pittman hasn't addressed. Obviously, the entire team didn't play well in the first half outside of the defense. Kendall Briles' play calling was bad. It was not good. We were going east-west, we were going north-south. But when we take that first half and we consider the last 20 minutes of the game, there's I think we solved the offensive issues for the most part. We know KJ can throw based on the Mizzou start last year. I think that with a couple little adjustments and just refining our system and the way that we come into next week, we should be in a good position to win our second game of the year in front of a sold out Razorback Stadium.
I think if our defense can stay healthy and stay out of targeting trouble week in, week out, which like the 2 targeting penalties we'll get into in a bit. But I think if our defense can definitely stay healthy, maybe they can be at a level, maybe not to like Georgia or Alabama type defense level. They can definitely be top 5, top half of the SEC type of defense. On offense, it's just like, and like I said earlier, I know we run this like up tempo offense. I think there's not really an identity crisis on offense, but I don't know we still need we still need a little bit of figuring out who we are on offense because yes, we do run this up tempo offense that when going well is great. Like it was late in the game on Saturday, but we also have, in my opinion, we have a really good rushing attack with Traylon Smith. Rocket Sanders, if Saturday proves anything, is better than we thought he
Yeah,
is. It's just like
definitely.
there were so many times, especially in the first half on Saturday, where Traylon Smith would bust out like a 10-plus yard run, or Rocket
Yeah,
Sanders had a nice run, and I'd be like yelling at my TV like pound the rock, like just run the run the damn ball down their throats instead of like short slant that's incomplete and the clock
yeah.
stops. You know, and that's just, I mean, like I said, the offense just still has a little bit of figuring out to do. But
Yeah.
that's what first games are for. You
And I
know,
definitely do think with the running the RPO, the hard thing too is on even if you have the right players and you have a size like a big matchup difference in terms of talent, like against Rice, we have it all. You still have to make the right decision on every read on those reads, and it's supposed to like simplify things for the QB. But I think a lot of times when you have a QB like KJ, he might want to like because he's so good at running, he might make the wrong decision, not hand it off, or kind of like have those confusions. Same in the passing game. I mean, sometimes he seems a little hesitant to on certain plays, and then it kind of ends up with like those short slants, like you were talking about, just those weird, awkward, not really efficient plays. Um, I think that's going to pick up later in the year. He's going to get more reps because again, he hasn't had that many reps. I also remember last year against Mizzou. I don't think that we did as many RPOs as usually with Kimmel Bryles. We had a lot of deep shots in that game, and he was really good at it. So I think he just needs to pick up a little more confidence in that end, and decision making is just going to get better from it.
I think so too because I remember the Zoo game last year. For whatever reason, I feel like they threw the ball downfield a lot more.
Yeah,
Whereas on Saturday, the only downfield pass that comes to my memory is the pass when they were down 17-7, the long pass down to Morris down the sideline
yeah,
that really jump started the offense for the rest of the game. Other than that, when they weren't rushing the ball on offense, when they weren't running the ball on offense, it was RPOs, slants across the middle, screen passes. I mean,
yeah,
also on the third and short situations too, the jet screens, like nothing in football grinds my gears more when it's third and short, fourth and short,
yeah.
and you run a jet sweep going east west, and all you need is 1
For a
yard.
loss.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I've
it
seen
turns
that
into
with
a
Burks
loss.
too. A lot of times we force feed him. Like we want to put the ball in his hands so much because he's so talented, but it's just not the right thing. I remember Chad Morris was he would do that so like these he would just try to do all these gimmick plays to think like, oh well, he's a skilled guy. Like put the ball in his hands, he'll make something happen. Like that's not how that works. Like if nothing is set up for him to be successful in that play, just putting the ball in his hands, like he's not Tyreek Hill. We
Right.
can agree on that. He's not just gonna like, and the rest of our guys, we're not. We gotta accept we're not Alabama either. You know, like we're not gonna get clean one on one where even all the receivers picked up their blocks perfectly. Like you can't just put the ball in a guy's hand and expect that when there's a lot better and safer play calls like on 3rd and 1, just like pound the football.
I think that our team's success this year is going to rely on stability and consistency at the quarterback position. And do I think that it's in Malik over KJ? No. I know that KJ is capable of it. I believe that KJ is capable of it. I think and as a redshirt sophomore, I think it's just going to come with maturity and kind of growing into the system, especially since he only had one start last year. I mean, it's he's got big shoes to fill out of Felipe Franks, who was here for one solid year. Obviously, we inherited him as a good starting quarterback.
I think Gabs. I don't know if you're going to say the same thing, but I think it is good that because obviously next week for Texas, I mean that is like Texas coming into Fayetteville. That's basically, I mean, with Texas joining the SEC down the road, like it
Yeah,
basically like it feels like a conference game. Like let alone the
Oh,
fact that
100%.
Texas is joining the SEC. We have this rivalry, Texas, this history to Southwest Conference. So that'll be a big game. But whatever happens in a Texas game, speaking on KJ, whatever happens in a Texas game, he will have that chance against. We hope. I mean, we hope he has a chance at Georgia Southern to get his confidence back up if needed going into when conference play starts against Texas A&M in 3 weeks now.
Let's not talk like that. That's defeated talk.
It's not okay. Even if it is, I don't want to sound defeatist. I just mean like the way the schedule works out.
I also
It's an
think
opportunity to maintain his confidence he acquired by throwing for 580 yards against Texas.
Jumping into this week, another former Southwest Conference foe comes to Fayetteville, and it is our biggest old Southwest Conference foe. The Texas Longhorns come up to Fayetteville. Every single Razorback fan has had this game circled on their calendar ever since the schedule ever since this match was announced and this year's schedule was released. This is probably the biggest game in Fayetteville since the middle of the Burt era, I would think.
10 years.
Basically 10 years. If not the Burt era, definitely 10 years to the Petrino days. Razorback Stadium will be sold out. Standing room only tickets left available. So big time game. Texas, as of now, they haven't released the new rankings, but Texas is 21st in the nation. They come off a win against Louisiana Lafayette, in which their true freshman quarterback, I think, Hudson Card, very efficient, 14 of 21, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the man everyone will be talking about in Texas is Bijan Robinson, Texas's running back. Bijan Robinson with a pretty impressive day, 20 carries for just over 100 yards and 1 touchdown. So both Robinson and Hudson Card, 2 players to look out for on Texas. Texas opens as a road 3-point favorite at the moment. So
I thought they opened 4.5 points.
According to,
I heard yesterday something about 4.5. Maybe
I saw 6.
Okay, well wait. Okay, ESPN actually has Texas as a 6.5 point favorite.
I saw 6. Yeah.
Jeez. Well,
Wow.
that's going to be a line that's all over the place. I know last year a lot of times we would open, especially like we would open like 2.5 dogs, and we would finish up like 1-point favorites, and it would just go around the pick'em line. A lot of these, I like the closer we got to kickoff, which means Arkansas probably has more DJs gambling, but it's good. That's gonna be wild. 6 points. That's a big line. On the road,
I would think that
6.5 on the road. What?
That's going to come down for kickoff. I mean,
honestly, right now would be a great time to bet it.
It'll close it too.
I thought. I mean,
It'll close it too.
I was reading UT stats off my phone. I thought it was. I just could have swore I saw 3 points there.
Well, because realistically, 6.5 on the road is what, like 8.5 on neutral now.
Right.
So they're saying that's nearly saying like if we were on the road to Texas, we'd be like a 10, 11 point underdog. If it was a neutral side, we'd be 8.5. That seems like a lot to me. 6.5. Wow. I just saw it on ESPN. I think it opened at 4.5 on Pinnacle.
Like, I know we talked about it earlier too, but it'll definitely be. I feel like this game is going to be like it's going to be. I mean, you're obviously be on the field together at the same time. It's going to be Texas off. It's whether Arkansas's defense, can stop Texas's offense. Now, going into Texas' game against Louisiana last week, like Bijan Robinson is getting all the hype. I mean, he had a good day. He had the same day or same type of day as Traylon Smith had for Arkansas, but their freshman quarterback Hudson Card, looking at his stat line, really impressed. Now, granted, they're playing Louisiana, and I know Louisiana was ranked, but knowing nothing about them, I'd take Arkansas's defense over Louisiana's defense right now.
Oh yeah,
we found out, like, we knew we had a good runner, Traylon Smith. We had an idea that Rocket Sanders would be good, and the fact that Rocket Sanders had a very good showing against Rice, it really, I know we already talked about it, just opens up the offense, and I think that'll be a key for us offensively, is just basically trying to do what Rice did to us in the first half. I mean, if I was the OC, this would be the key, just to keep the ball out of Texas's offense's hands.
So you think we should slow it down and like slow the pace and just run clock?
I mean, maybe. I mean, just because
we have the tempo.
Yeah, I mean, I know we have the up tempo, and like I said, when up tempo is running good, it's good. But when it's not running good, you're going 3 and out in like
Yeah,
20 seconds every offensive possession.
I'd be interested to see if we can mix it up. I know, like, well, we're not Alabama, but they do a great job, like every season of they can one drive they'll go tempo on you so much, and the next drive they would just slow it down and just pick you apart.
Right.
And I think that if we could implement that, especially having like a because a lot of time tempo is hard whenever you're relying on one single running back because then you basically have to burn him on the drive.
Right.
But having two right now that we're kind of after last week, I feel confident with both of them at least. Like you can easily split 20-10 the carries, even like 20 to 12 or 22-13, something like that. You can still split those easily, and I think that that'll kind of help us because we can go both ways. We can just go hard, run the ball hard while doing tempo, and then when it comes to like passing the ball, we can slow it down whenever we want and kind of go back and forth. I think that could be the key against Texas.
If we have at least 3 or 4 drives, if we have 3 5-minute drives, the game's on. We win. 3 5-minute or more drives.
Yeah.
Where we're
No,
just
no, no, no.
controlling the play.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Well, I think early on, especially, like in the first quarter, is when we should just go for ball control because I feel like that would be the most demoralizing thing for Texas. Is let's say they go a quick 3 and out, then we take 7. We can have one drive where we take 7 minutes off the clock. You see it done all the time, and then you get another stop on defense, and near the end of the first quarter, you're up 7-0, and they've had 2 small drives. We'd be able to basically like do kind of like Rice did to us. Even though we were up earlier, you kind of just stall their offense, and then later on, you can kind of speed things up. I just don't want us to be stuck in the third quarter going slow like that because a lot of times, and I saw that last year, um, whenever we would kind of like take that lead, a lot of times we kind of like would stall in the end of third, early fourth quarter, and then you kind of find yourself that you're the one like just going 3 and out, and even if they're taking a lot of time off the clock, they're controlling everything. It's like the ball's in their hand to win it or lose it, which I don't really feel comfortable with. So I kind of like maybe us the first half or first quarter. That's what we do. We kind of control clock, get longer drives, and then eventually if it comes down to opening things up, then we play offense with them. We just go full out and we play our full playbook, and we kind of go from there.
To your point too, like being like our offense still kind of like being stalled in the middle of third quarter last game. Like we can't. Someone made a good point that it was like one of the reasons we got out of the hole versus Rice was we were able to just Arkansas was able to just simply out athlete them. That's not going to happen against an opponent like Texas. We just can't rely on that.
I actually I don't think that's how we got out of the hole.
Well, I'm not saying it was why, but it was one of the reasons. We were just simply one of it. That won't fly against Texas.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand that point. I think, but I could almost say like in the first half, that's what we were trying to do. Like that's what it looked like more. It's like when we had good plays, we were out athleting them, and when we didn't, we were just not playing well. And it's just a combination of both. In the second, it was more like everything was clicking in the second half. I think in the second half, well, when it was like 17-7, at that point, like everything just starts clicking, and it's us playing our actual game. It's not just us being like we could have had the same talent as they had, and we would have won that second half and probably the game.
And I kind of want to steal you guys' attention here. And realistically, this is one of the biggest factors in the game. I believe, and obviously that's like an optimistic fan perspective, but we both spent a lot of time in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I mean, I feel like we both, or all three of us, sorry, have a pretty good grasp of the fan base and what kind of that entails. So just picture this, and this is the scenario for this game, which I think is what it boils down to. It's a 6 p.m. start, a night game, in the first sellout at Razorback Stadium since 2017. So there's going to be 75,000 plus, maybe up to 80,000. And we know a little something about drinking in Fayetteville, don't we, fellas? We do.
Win or
We
lose,
know
we
that guys are
lose.
going to be drinking. Guys are going to be drinking since 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Game is at 6 at night. Sellout. UT has a young quarterback who hasn't played a road game in front of 80,000 drunk, fucking inherently miserable fans from the last 5 years. This is our first chance to be relevant on a national scale. It's going to be a fucking mental asylum in there, and there's going to be 80,000. And I think that it's going to get into either both of the Texas quarterbacks are young. It's going to get into their heads, that environment, because they haven't seen that. They haven't played in that yet. And this is an SEC madhouse with 80,000 drunkards losing their minds. And I think that is going to be one of the deciding factors. And if we come out early with a lead, it's fucking over. It's over. We're going to be on top of them. It's going to be ear shattering all game.
Yeah, obviously, if the crowd isn't taken out of it early, like if Texas doesn't go up like let's say 10-zip to start the game, like obviously the crowd's gonna be a huge factor in the game,
Right.
because we know how jacked up. Like just talking to people on Twitter and like being in Fayetteville recently, we know how jacked up the place is gonna get, and we've seen in the past, like in 2017, as recently as that, like Razorback Stadium, a sold out Razorback Stadium, be jacked up
It's
for a
insane.
game.
It's
And
insane. That was a lot less important.
Like to your point, like, and I was talking about UT's quarterback Hudson Card, as great of a day he had, as great as a day he had, excuse me, at home against Louisiana on Saturday. That was at home. Obviously not a hostile environment for Texas, but now he's coming into one. He and the rest of the Texas offense, and the Texas team for that matter, is coming into a hostile environment. A fan base that like genuinely despises and hates
Starving.
Texas. Yes, starving to beat Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, different sport, but last February when the baseball team opened their season in Arlington and played Texas in one of those games and beat Texas, I mean, you just saw how crazy the fan base went online for beating Texas in a season opening baseball game. Just that's multiplied times
a million.
Times a million if Arkansas can pull out a win on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
No, to that point, and shout out Josh here. After seeing what I think is just a wonderful tradition in sports, you know what? People are getting a little crazy with it. Kansas, should you have rushed the field after beating FCS South Dakota? No, you shouldn't have. But you did anyway out of spite, because you guys have been dog shit for the last how long? So you deserve it. I support it. And before all of this, a little teeny weeny part of me was like, you know what? I think that if we were to beat Texas at home, we'd give them rushing the field would give them justification. Like we would validate them essentially is what I meant. We would validate their relevancy, and I think that's a dangerous place to go. But if we win that fucking game, I want 80,000 on the field. I want the fucking goalpost down. I want saws out cutting that bitch, and I want to drink fucking Busch Light out of it from JJ's. Let's go.
I was gonna say, to your point, if we do beat Texas, however you feel about it, rushing the field could be justified, just because look where this program's been since 2017.
Exactly.
It's been in the abyss of college football, and I'm not saying that we win and Razorback football's back all of a sudden, but it would be it would be the biggest step in the right direction.
Yeah, we don't use the backword only. That's not I feel like that's. I
didn't say that if we would win, that they would be.
They didn't. But I agree. I think overall, I think it's a no brainer. If we want to rush the field, we can rush the field. I don't think it has anything to do even with the last few teams who've rushed the field. I think it's just that point, the rivalry behind it in terms of Southwest. It's.
I'm not even saying rush the field.
Yeah, it's classic
Open
football.
The gates.
It's just classic
Open the
football.
Gates.
And I do think I hope we win and Texas has a good year too, and you can look back and you're like, Arkansas and Texas were both good this year, and Arkansas beat him. I don't know. After we beat him, I don't want Texas to go 6-6. go 9-3, go 10-2, and
Yeah.
that'll even be better for us. I think it'll be
Mhm.
better for the hype of Texas coming to the SEC. I think there's some things that like as much as we love to see Texas miserable, them being like significant when they're in the SEC, and by significant I mean like right under us every time, and us being very good, obviously.
Best case scenario, Arkansas wins, and then Texas goes like either run the table after that, or they have like a 9-3, 10-2 season,
Yeah,
and people are like,
none.
remember like that loss they had to Arkansas week 2.
Right. Obviously, I'm pretty sure we're all three going to be kind of on the same page when it comes to the winner. But I like the Hogs double OT 38-35.
Ooh,
Double OT action.
Yep.
Okay. I could definitely see the game going in overtime. I don't know. I'm always hesitant to pick a game in overtime because it seems always like less of a certainty. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. I don't think it goes in overtime. I like the Hogs. I'll say I don't know if we put up 38 again. I'll say like a 31. It's definitely gonna be a one possession game, a one possession final. I'll go 31. I think we win by less than a touchdown. I'm gonna go 31-27 Hogs. And it ends like Texas has it's like one of those games where whoever has the ball last is gonna win the game, but Texas has the ball and we stop them on fourth down or they just run out of time or whatever. I'll go Hogs 31-27 final.
Love it.
I was gonna go with that actually, but I mean we had the same one last week, so that worked out. I'm actually gonna go like I don't think it hits 58 points in that game, man. I'm gonna go. I think we win. We're gonna put up a weird number. It's gonna be like a 26-23. Weird fucking numbers. Pardon my French. Yeah, 26-23 the final for Arkansas. I think that's what it's gonna come down to defense. We're gonna have a pick six in this game.
All right, moving on. Recap the previous week of college football, week 1, opening of the college football season. Anything jump out to you guys? We had some pretty interesting scores. Obviously, we talked about the game last night. That might have been the game of the weekend, Florida State, Notre Dame, where it took basically like 3.5 quarters for Florida State to figure out who their quarterback really was before they still lost in overtime. I know, Gabs, you were pretty upset about that.
No, I mean, obviously, I bet the Florida State money line, which in hindsight was a great bet, just because we saw like if Mackenzie Milton starts the whole game, it's not even a question. Notre Dame had 21 points off turnovers, off interceptions. Like I think the better team was Florida State. Honest, I actually like if I'm Florida State, I'm like pretty happy with everything except that coaching suspect. It's a little sus. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like icing your own kicker in
Yeah,
overtime.
and the thing I don't get is at that point in overtime, you don't really care about wasting your challenge or that timeout. It's basically like don't wait for your people to tell you, oh, it's gonna get overturned for sure, challenge or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Either throw the challenge flag right away, or just let your kicker do it. There's no
I
I don't
disagree.
understand. I don't get the waiting. At that point in the game, you don't care about keeping your challenge really. Like you're in overtime. You're
I
not gonna have
disagree.
another clue. What's that?
There's a big difference between 38 and 50, and I think in on paper, absolutely the right call. Absolutely. You say it was a questionable fumble. I think they gave Mackenzie Milton the benefit there. Obviously, his hand was coming forward. Was it a clear fumble? No.
But that's my point.
But
My point is throw it right away. Your challenge flag. You don't need to wait to get the okay from upstairs from your video staff to tell you, oh, we're gonna win this for sure. It's
okay,
overtime. Just go right away. Like you should literally be right away saying, like preparing your kicker like for both scenarios, being like, we're challenging this, and obviously we'll see what happens. But there's no point in having him go on the field, go through all the motions, and
Right.
even kicking the practice kick to then miss that one. Like
Did you disagree with the challenge just in general, or
no,
just the
no,
timing of it?
it's the time. It's the timing. I don't get.
Okay.
It's like if you're gonna like if it's in the first or second quarter, you obviously want to be sure when you're challenging it. It can't just be like your player saying, "No, my arm was going forward, challenge it." It has to go from upstairs. Your staff telling you like, "Oh, I think like 80% sure we're gonna win this challenge." But right now, it doesn't change shit. You don't get like don't get like penalty yardage for losing a challenge. You don't get anything except you lose
Okay.
your challenge. But at that point, the game's like it's in overtime.
Right.
You don't need your timeouts as much as during the game. The clock's not going to run out, and you're not going to get a situation again in the game. More than likely, like 99% sure, you're not going to get another situation where you need a challenge as much as you do right then. So
Yeah.
just throw it right away, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. But if you still have a shot there. But no, now you're getting your kicker closer on a bad hash where your entire program is based off a history of missing wide left. Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of
I
like
know. I know.
Miami.
Gab's talking about.
Like I could just no, I could just like hear like from the back in like, when they would lose to Miami, just hearing the wide left, the wide right all the time from the announcer, the big calls. I was almost like hoping at that point that the announcer would like make a joke from it or something. It was just, I think the timing was just horrible, and then you add up with the whole quarterback. I get it.
Brian Kelly was the only one that made a joke.
Yeah. Speaking of jokes, Brian Kelly or jokes that didn't go over well.
That was a great joke. But my point is, at that like he just got out of a game that was like they were up a lot and they should close it out a little better, and they sweated that one out, and he
Right.
gets out of there, and there's an interview, and he makes a joke, and he quotes an old quote, and I didn't even know it was a quote at first. I didn't even realize it. I thought it was just fun. Like, dude, I think if one of my coaches in hockey had said something like that after a game, instead of like just coming in and ripping us apart, if he said that to someone, I'd be like, okay, maybe we have a chance of getting out of here, you know? Like I feel like knowing Brian Kelly too, the way he is with media, I feel like if he doesn't say that, his players they're scared shitless, and him saying that maybe they go in the locker room, they're like, oh, we're all joking around or whatever, taking it a little more lightly. So I think
I'd
that
be
was
a lot more.
what's up?
I'd be a lot more concerned with. Well, it's kind of like what you said. Like, and if I had a coach say like, "Oh, I have a surprise for them. Don't worry," versus I'm going to execute my team.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'm a lot more afraid of the surprise because the surprise probably is execution.
Yeah.
But while we're on it,
I think that's funny, and I think that also lets a team like know it's a thing they can rally around. Kind of. It's like everyone gets it's the first week. You're going to make mistakes. The coach joking around like that. I think the guys can kind of hold themselves accountable for what happened. Kind of like build off that. And it's a big game. It was Sunday night. It was huge. It was one of the biggest games Florida State's had in like probably their biggest home game since
recent history.
Recent
history.
Yeah, since the national championship year.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that means for Notre Dame, like that's huge for those guys to come in there and win that game. And so I don't know. I don't have a problem with them. I think people need to chill out. Like that's kind of just ridiculous. I love the people joking about it on Twitter. But the talking about how like it's in bad taste making those jokes, I think that's just stupid. Like let them have at least some fun.
Okay, I'm not saying I called it. I did, but LSU going out absolutely getting embarrassed, even after their coach tries to make jokes about UCLA's colors. How about UCLA plus the points? UCLA plus the points at home.
That was
awesome. Straight up.
That's what I love is the coach just puts his team in a bad situation.
Why do you give anybody bulletin board material?
Yeah, and the truth is he doesn't have Joe Burrow anymore.
He doesn't have that whole 2019 team.
Yeah, like it's. I think like I don't know. I think Joe Burrow's level of and his experience too. That's why they were so good. Like even the year before, where his stats weren't great, LSU was better than this year, better than last year, and people were like, "Oh, Joe Burrow's not that good."
Wasn't
It's just not even. It's so different right now. Like
wasn't
LSU, they look like a mess.
wasn't
He's Gene
Burrow like
Chiswick.
yeah
What's
that
that?
This is
he's like
Gene
Gene
Chiswick
Chisholm?
with Cam all over again. Like, like Ed Orgeron, I love Coach O for his part of my take shit. I love Go Dog, Gumble, all that shit. He's a fucking abhorrent human being. Really bad person, but he
I
talks
think
fun, so I let it
his
slide.
ego got a little big from that natty. I think
Yeah,
that
what was their OC's name? Joe Kelly? Is that
Joe
right?
Brady.
Joe Brady. Joe Brady.
Yeah, who's
Joe
who's
Kelly.
the OC
God
and yeah, who's the OC for the Carolina Panthers now?
like Joe Brady was good. I think that Coach O goes down in flames this year, honestly. And I feel bad because all he's ever wanted to do was be the head coach of the Chicago. But I think he's going to go down in flames, man. I don't think it's going to be a healthy divorce in Baton Rouge this year.
I
You know,
mean,
it's he really wanted to because he was the interim coach for USC after I think Pete Carroll left or after Lane
he went
after
six
Lane
to
Kiffin got
two.
fired, I think.
Was it
And they
Sark or was it Lane?
no, it was after Lane got fired.
Okay.
And then he went like what 6-2
2.
with USC, and they hired Sark instead, and that's how Orgeron ended up at LSU, I think.
Which I think that's. I think the thing about Ed O is he can make it, get his players to play. I think there's a big limit to what he can do as a coach, though. He can definitely get his guys fired up, but I also think like there's a big limit. Like Nick Saban's a combination of a guy who can get his guys to show up and play, a guy who knows how to coach, knows every little part of it, but a guy who can delegate to his assistants well
Right.
enough. I think Edo has to be the face of everything. He like it's his way or the highway, and ultimately you not that you got lucky getting having Joe Burrow and a good OC, but like you kind of did. Like it fell in your lap, and now you're kind of. I think he just didn't take it as seriously. He just figured LSU was going to be sick. Like I don't have any like I don't really need to work hard anymore. You just think like oh we're set, and they're just not. But like they're extremely talented. That's the scary thing about LSU is like this isn't a situation where the talent's not there.
Right.
And that's what sucked. Well, last year they beat us, but also the little targeting call bullshit. So that was basically a win for us. But on that end, it was a thing where we came in the game, and some people had us as favorites if the line was moving back and forth. And it's like they're so talented that even if they're having a shit year, they could just come and beat you, which is a thing that absolutely scares me about playing them later in the year. I'd rather play them with them like at their best level for most of the season than them just have like one or two really good games like they beat Florida last year. You know, it's just it's these teams. It just pisses me off to see that because they're so talented, and then they're gonna lose to like Mississippi State. They're gonna lose to UCLA. I do need to apologize to UCLA. I was wrong about you, UCLA. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they played a hell of a game. Like as much as like we were
They did.
clowning on LSU right now, UCLA
Yeah.
had a game plan and executed it, and their offense was incredible. But not incredible. They were really good against
And their
LSU.
QB managed the game very well. They didn't throw a lot, but like he did what he needed to do. He didn't make mistakes. I think they used him very well.
They got a tight end who's a player. I think he's number 85. I know he caught one touchdown pass for UCLA. Big white dude. I think he was number 85.
Tight end, big
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Surprise, right?
Really?
But yeah. But no. UCLA. I mean, Chip Kelly's got the visor back. That means he's got a team he can coach up. I think. Watch out
Is
for
Chip Kelly
UCLA.
back or is he still a fraud, Aiden?
They look good.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how much fun the West would be this year without Bama? Can you imagine if Bama wasn't in the West? And it's still fun because everybody, like, obviously Bama wins the West, but I can't pick one team that is a clear number two. I think Ole Miss has the best shot. A&M has a good shot. I think Ole Miss probably has the best shot. A&M has a lot of question marks. They've got everything but a quarterback, and their freshman quarterback did not look good this week at home against Kent State. And obviously it was like our game. Like the score did not reflect the game. Realistically, did we deserve to win our game by 20 points? No. A&M didn't deserve whatever the final was there. I think it was like 41-10. It was a lot closer of a game than the score reflected, and they struggled mightily at home to the big Golden Flashes. So I think number 2 is up for grabs. I can't name a single team that outright will be number 2. Obviously, Bama. What Bama did to Miami was fucked up. It was.
Auburn looked a lot better. They played nobody, but like they also the Chad Morris
looked competent.
Chad Morris is gone now. Bo Nix actually looks competent.
I think Auburn did perfect. Honestly, maybe it's a thing where what you need to do to like get your program back up and starting. And obviously, we had Chad Morris too long. You hire Chad Morris for 1 year as a coordinator, then you dump him.
You just
shout out to Chad
that
way for losing.
What?
Allen.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
Side note, shout out Chad Morris for blowing a 10-year-long home win streak in your second game.
They haven't lost a regular season game since I was a freshman in high school.
What year was that?
2012.
Pretty sure they haven't lost since 20.
Allen hadn't lost a home game, regular season home game since 2013, and now they're 0-2 with one of those 2 losses coming at home.
And they hadn't.
No, they're 1-1.
Lost a regular season.
They beat Plano East.
Yeah. Okay. They hadn't lost a regular season game. They were on an 83-game win streak. It took Chad 2 games to fuck that up. Yeah, that is impressive.
Yeah.
And who did they lose to? I didn't recognize that school. It was Atascocita?
Yeah, it was a team in you.
I don't know.
I had never heard of it.
You hate to see it, though.
You do. You despise seeing it.
We got any more thoughts on the first weekend of games? I know, like, the big game of the weekend, Georgia Clemson, kind of a snoozer, a 10-3 final. Like, nothing on offense, especially from Clemson.
Yeah.
Like, DJU was horrible. Yeah, but Clemson was especially bad offense, especially.
Yeah, Clemson execution not there. Maybe Dabo's actually a fraud. Who knows?
I love that take. Me and old Fred were talking about that. Is Dabo good, or did he just have Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, he had other QBs play well, but like you saw Kelly Bryant, he was good with Clemson, but not great.
Did Taj Boyd
but Taj Boyd put him on the map, though.
Did Taj Boyd go to Clemson, though?
Yeah, he was a QB who put them on the map.
Right. And then it was Taj Boyd, and then
Deshaun
Watson. Yeah, and then Kelly Bryant.
Where's Taj Boyd now?
CFL, maybe. Is he on a roster?
I'm gonna go right now. He is
an offensive assistant at Clemson.
He last played for the Montreal. Like his last pro team was the Montreal Alouettes. 2016.
Yeah. You just breed.
Offensive analysts. If you want to be an offensive analyst, go play for the Alouettes for 1 year.
Yeah.
Shout out Johnny Football.
Yep. Looking forward to the next week's games. There's really only 2 games of note outside of Arkansas, Texas, of course. There's only 2 games featuring 2 top 25 teams. One of those games is number 11 Oregon, if they're even still going to be number 11 next weekend, goes to Ohio State. Ohio State, that is an 11 a.m. Central kick, noon Eastern kick, 9 a.m. Pacific kick for Oregon. Ohio State's a 14-point home favorite. You got to think with the way Oregon played last night, or not last night, but on Saturday, Ohio State's just going to wipe the floor with Oregon, especially for a team coming from the West Coast, 9 a.m. body clock game.
Both teams are frauds, but got to go. Ohio State didn't impress against Minnesota. They got the job done, but it was dirty. I mean, obviously, they're playing on the road in a conference game week 1. But got to go Ohio State in the points here. I don't think Oregon has a fucking chance.
There were times where I thought Minnesota had them last Thursday. I was watching it. I was skiing while watching it. Or his ACL. He's out for the season now.
Yeah, it sucks.
I also think Fresno low key might be really good.
Who did they play this past weekend?
Oregon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And they like maybe UConn's not that bad. Maybe Holy Cross is really good, and Fresno's really good. We could also have that take and keep
Are you
betting
just
on
is that because is that because you keep betting on UConn?
UConn. Yeah, the dog died. I can't like go against that. You know. But I think
Did Gabs cause Randy Edsall to step down immediately? People need to be asking that question.
Yeah.
Are you the cause of their coach leaving?
I mean, I was very critical. I've been very critical of his quarterback choice against Fresno, and now what's up, Aiden?
Fellas, we're having a live watching party for UConn Vandy. We're gonna all watch it together, and we're gonna commentate the entire game.
Is that this week?
Yeah, someone has to win. UConn and Vandy next weekend.
Oh my! What's the line? This is gonna be the greatest bet of all.
No, Vandy's like a 20-point favorite.
No, well, the game is at Vandy, right?
When is the game?
It's on Saturday, right? It's next or this.
Oh, shut the fuck up! It's not this Saturday.
What is it?
I don't know. I don't know. That's just me being in shock. I know they play. I just don't know when.
No, Vandy plays Colorado State this week.
Okay, they play. They play you.
Whoa, you guys want to see something sad? Vandy and Colorado State both lost to an FCS team this week, and Colorado State's a 7-point favorite against Vandy.
Vandy, it's October 2nd.
I just looked that up.
What an incredible game that'll be.
The UConn Huskies, the official football team of the Academic
They
Lecture
play
podcast.
week 5.
And then the other really notable game outside of Arkansas, Texas, and Ohio State, Oregon, the Battle of Iowa. 7th-ranked Iowa State takes on 18th-ranked Iowa. Iowa State is a home 4-point favorite. I mean, they can pick here. I guess I'm going to pick Iowa State just because they're the home team.
Ooh. I'm going to Iowa. Iowa State did not impress. I think that this is part of the reason why I think rankings are a sham. I think that our game should be game day. I'm not biased or anything. Fuck you if you think I am.
I'm gonna. So I had no idea what Iowa State did, and I just looked it up. I'm changing my pick to Iowa is going to win. Iowa plus the points. Iowa straight up to win. So
Iowa State struggled against Northern Illinois. Didn't look good.
Yep.
I'm going Iowa. Yeah. Hawkeyes. I love the Hawkeye wave.
But that's every year. Every year, Iowa
best
State
tradition in sports.
Like that game is tight every year between Iowa State and Northern Iowa. It's like a good thing.
Not this year, Iowa by 9.
Yeah, I think.
No, I mean like that. The first game of the season is always Iowa State, Northern Iowa, and it's always a tight game. It's like a rivalry game.
Right.
So
it's a rivalry game, even though one is FCS and the other is FBS, which is interesting.
Yeah, but like every year, it's a really.
Oh, you're talking about Iowa State?
No, they do.
Illinois, Northern Illinois,
Northern Iowa.
Is that who they played? Northern Iowa.
Yeah,
NIU is the Huskies, not to be confused.
Right, and NIU beat Northern Illinois. They beat Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech.
The point is, don't base yourself on last week's Iowa State game to like pick that. But also, Iowa did beat the shit out of Indiana, and Aiden thought that they wouldn't.
I thought, well, Penix was back. You guys said Penix was gone. He was not. He played not well, but they
really?
Yeah, Penix is still on the team.
Yeah, Penix, he went 14 of 31 with 3 picks against Iowa.
Jeez. Yeah, I stink. Yeah. I was so bad this weekend.
Well, me too. I'm broke.
So
he's overrated.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we all like Iowa straight up, or Iowa plus the points to straight up to win it games.
It's 4 points. Yeah, I mean, like, even if they lose, it's going to be by 3 points. It's going to be a 3-point game either way. Like,
right.
I don't think betting 4 points for Iowa State is very smart. I agree with you guys. I would plus the points easily.
Looks like we got a segue into pop culture then, hey fellas.
Yeah.
Where do we sit on dick pics on the internet?
On Twitter, not on the internet, not just on the internet. On Twitter, unsolicited.
I'm against it.
So, dear listener, I'll provide some context here from our wonderful fan base. There are two psychopaths that occupy it. Basically, what had happened is Psychopath A had told Psychopath B that he has a small penis, and in an effort for Psychopath B to dunk on Psychopath A, he DM'd Psychopath a picture of allegedly his penis. No verification on whose penis it might have been. Allegedly, it was his erect penis right there. And Psychopath A, being, unstable, tweeted the picture of Psychopath B's penis and said, "Oh, look, everybody, it's Psychopath A's penis." Or whatever fucking psychopath's cock that was.
Not me, thank God. I was not tagged.
I got tagged in it.
I was not tagged.
And then I think the most bizarre thing was Psychopath B saying, "Yeah, I sent Psychopath A picture of my penis. What of it? Like, we're fucking weird. Like, we're the fucking weird ones. Like, they didn't settle an argument with dick pics." And this isn't like, fellas, if you want to send another fella a picture of your cock, that's fine. Do whatever you want. I'm like, but the issue with this is that it wasn't like a relationship type of deal. It wasn't like that. It was simply, you said I have a small penis. Here's my hard cock to prove it.
Isn't that
what?
Isn't that
what?
You could go to jail. Yeah, you could. I mean,
I think
you can. I think you can go to jail.
You got a sex offenders list.
You gotta be seriously fucking deranged for that to be like, yeah, you think my dick's small? Here's a picture of it, asshole. What? You what? You did what? And both psychopaths are in their mid to late 30s, early 40s, early 50s.
They're not. No. They're not even in their 30s. They're definitely not in their 30s. No way.
Neither one of them went to the University of Arkansas. I almost guarantee you that.
I think Ozzy's in his 30s.
No, that's Psychopath B, I believe.
We're not saying names.
They will not. We're not
just
saying their
Psychopath. Psychopath A and B, whatever.
But the fact, like, I hate, like, even like talking about this just because it's like, or even like seeing it on Twitter because it's like, Arkansas,
especially seeing it on Twitter.
Well, yeah, but
I didn't like seeing a cock on Twitter.
No, even before the unsolicited meat pic was sent all over Twitter yesterday or whatever that was, it's like they're going back and forth about God knows what for like the past week. It feels like now, and it's like all of Arkansas Twitter is in this civil war. You got people in Psychopath A's camp versus people in Psychopath B's camp. People like friend of the pod, Cat, friend of the pod, Josh Teeter, Jacob Johnson. They're all caught in the middle of this somehow in the crossfire.
I'm getting tagged on stuff.
I have a fan tweet. Well, not a fan of us. Just like that's my buddy Pat tweeting. How do I keep getting tagged, added to these hawk Twitter threads? I swear to God, that's the most relatable. It makes no sense. It just doesn't.
Everyone that Psychopath B like tags and tweets out in his dancing videos, they're all caught in the crossfire in the middle of this, like innocently. Like they're not part of this. Or like Arkansas Twitter, it's like we just had our first football game of the season. We won. We beat one of our rivals from the Southwest Conference. We have another game next weekend against our biggest rival from the Southwest Conference in Texas, and yet Arkansas Twitter is in a damn civil war over these two losers arguing about nothing. And then one of them sends their junk. It's like what are we doing here?
What do you think the Confederate flag?
These aren't mentally stable people. They're not mentally stable people.
Speaking of mentally stable, we got at least one of them tweeting out, "I'm not doing well. Like I need this is a GoFundMe to help me out." It's like, what the fuck are you?
They both did GoFundMe. Psychopath A did one too for his sickly dog. His dog got a disease in the middle of everybody getting mad at him.
Okay,
so he had to make a GoFundMe.
Wait, no, today?
No, that was earlier last week. They both have done GoFundMes, but Psychopath A, when everybody was unfollowing him and getting mad, during another situation that he mentioned that I still don't believe. Sorry, I don't. But he said that his dog had a rare flesh-eating disease and needed
Alex Smith's leg had that.
and needed a GoFundMe.
He didn't need a
And
GoFundMe.
he said, he tweeted, and I shit you not, the tweet was along the lines of, do you all hate me so much that you're going to let little Skittles die? Or whatever his dog's name is.
There is literally no correlation.
Yes, we do.
There's no correlation. We have done 3 episodes of this podcast. This is episode 2, technically our 3rd episode. But we've done 3 episodes where
0, 1, 2.
Yeah, 0, 1, 2. We've done 3 episodes where at the end of 2 of them, we have told Arkansas Twitter to either stop being horny towards young women of Hog Twitter, and now we're telling Hog Twitter to stop sending dick pics on the Twitter timeline. Stop it! Stop! What are we doing?
Dancing psychopath, because I forget whether he was A or B. I'm on team fucking him now because he's got his own fucking problems.
No,
but you know what? He's not that deranged.
I'm not.
I like the dancing videos. Fuck you, Luke. I like the dancing videos.
I'm not on either of their teams. I'm not on either of their teams. They're both losers, for goodness sake. Like, stop. Like, they just need to stop. Jack, the person who has started Twitter, runs it, CEO, whatever, at Jack on Twitter, ban them.
They don't even have teams. It's just a collection of like 8 burners each.
Gosh, I'm just so sick and tired of this damn fan base.
It's gonna get
being
worse.
the weirdest on Twitter. And
fucking nuts.
Okay, what is
I blame you, Tina. You gave these fucking weirdos a platform as well.
Would you rather be back in 2018 with Chad Morris or being good at like all sports and having to go through this on Twitter?
I mean, I don't want.
I'll take
going
this
through
on
Chad
Twitter.
Morris. Yeah,
this is kind of silly.
I don't wish Chad Morris is my worst enemy. So.
Well, I kind of wish Chad Morris upon those two right now.
Yes.
Chad Morris should go take over the Twitters.
Oh my goodness!
It is like how do you think that's a good idea? On both ends. Like, first off, why would
have to be in your head?
Because they don't know. They don't know how to use the internet. That's why they're old.
I don't think they know how to use their head.
Yeah, and that.
So, also, one thing that's pretty funny. Well, not funny.
It's just time for dick talk.
Fred. Yeah. Hey, Fred, come say hi. Jeez. Just interrupting, Fred. God damn it. One thing that's pretty funny is that if you posted something like, I feel sick, I got after my COVID shot, you get like banned for like a decade on Twitter. If you post
this is not a political. This is not a political.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. But if you post a dick pic, you're fine. No, it's all good.
It just stays up.
It's fine. It's fine.
I can't believe that he said the caption on this picture of whoever's penis that was, not his, was "suck on this, slur."
No, it's just wrong.
It's someone needs to go to jail over this.
Yeah, it's not even a horny jail anymore.
No,
it's like actual jail.
Side note, though, can we talk about the Carolina Hurricanes trying to pull a? Well, they pulled a move. They offer sheeted Jesperi Kotkaniemi from Montreal as a payback for
Aho.
Offer sheeting Aho like 3 years ago, but they offered him like 6.1 mil for 1 year, and he has like 25 points in his 100 games. 25 points as a forward. Like, I get that he's young. He's a third.
Did you guys match that sheet or no?
No, they literally used a first and a third, or a first and a second, what they would get from Carolina as compensation for losing him, and they went and got like an identical player from Phoenix who's making $4 million a year. So they basically just saved like $2 million on the cap space. Like that.
I just like how the Hurricanes were like you said, like they waited 3 years. Their Twitter has waited 3 years to be this petty at the Habs.
Well, the funny thing is, at first, I thought Carolina just thought Montreal was going to match it and spend $6 million, because the Twitter account, like, they just captioned LOL and capital.
I thought they did too, and I think that's what the Twitter thought.
What?
I think that's what the Twitter thought. Like, I don't think that they ever thought they were going to sign Kokniemi. Like, I don't think they ever thought they actually were. I thought it was just like a petty back and forth, or at least that was my perception of what the Twitter account thought.
Well, the Twitter account is affiliated to the team. Like, you have to have like.
I understand that, but the social media guy doesn't fucking know.
Yeah, no. But what I mean is, like, he should know. Like, don't basically tweet. You tweeted making fun of the situation when it happened, like saying, like, look how funny we are, and now like you actually sign the player. I'd feel like shit if I was the player. Like, yeah. Well, actually, you just made $6 million over a year.
His signing bonus was $20.
Yeah, I know, that's hilarious. I mean, I thought like it's funny, but it's just like they could have done so much better. You know, they could have just
they added to that signing bonus.
Yeah, I mean, they probably. You can.
If you have a $20 signing bonus, just fucking go to Russia. You go to the KHL.
It sounds like the Burger Van got the last laugh, though.
Yeah, well, that's what he's been doing all off season. Like, there was the whole draft pick. We're not going to get too much into that. We don't really have much time for that. But it was just like we got a really good player. Everyone's mad at him, and then the whole like expansion draft. Just this guy's hurt now. Oh, he's hurt. Just probably
put him on the unprotected list.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's on the unprotected list. They're all hurt though. You can't have any of them, and they just get like a random like AHLer.
Yeah, they're all hurt. And if you pick someone like Carey Price, you can't pay. You can pay him. You can't pay anyone else on your team. Then that's talking hockey. That's our little preview of later in the college football season when the NHL season, the puck drops on the 21-22 season. Get a little bit of taste of that too. Well, that just about does it for episode 2 of the Academic Redshirt podcast, where we talked Arkansas Rice, previewed Arkansas Texas, and talked about the games that have gone on, the games that will go on next weekend, and a little contract talk.
Yep.
Boys, anything before we get out of here? Anything else real quick?
Don't send pictures in an effort to win an argument because you lose.
Gabs, you got anything?
Let's just be civil on Twitter a little more than we have been, at least to each other. And you want to send that to Texas fans? Go ahead, because they probably won't post it on Twitter when you send that to them. But come on now, guys. We all need to grow up. I need to grow up too, but like some people really need to grow up.
Arkansas Twitter, let's just please all get along.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a big game against Texas this week. Can we all please unite and just go against Texas instead of?
Let's just sing Imagine. If we all just sing Imagine.
We need Kendall Jenner to go to these two certain individuals and hand them a Pepsi can. That's what we need.
Absolutely.
That'll solve this whole thing.
Might make an edit with that.
Hold on, guys. Teeter has a Spaces right now where everybody's airing out their grievances on Arkansas drama, and I'm about to jump in.
All right, with that, episode 2, we're out of here. See you next week.
Deuces, everybody.
Take care.